There we go. That's the little pop that I was looking for or waiting for. So for the recording purposes, we are talking about, first of all, we're going to start with umbrellas, umbrella courses, how that works when you have more than one credit going to one class, as well as Edmentum Courseware, how to set it up, some of the best practices that we've got going on, some ideas of how to set up everything in Synergy to make that all work, as well as bridge courses. Did I miss anything?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, awesome. So starting with umbrellas. Easiest way to look at this is whatever you, oops, that is not what I want. Whatever you are using for your like course catalog. Anytime that you have more than one credit, and when I say more than one credit, I don't mean two of the same credit. I mean, they're completely different IDOE numbers. So yep, so for this ELA 1 example, you get a 1062 grammar as well as a 1054 contemporary lit credit every time that a student takes it. The way that this looks in Synergy is, I probably should grab, we'll come back to that later. I like my drawings. I'm a visual person, so, and bear with me, this is terrible on a on a computer, but that's okay. The point will still remain. Oh, it's going to be outdated. I'll have to find something else. Anyway, umbrellas work in a couple of different ways. So when you put it in, you're going to have 3 separate sections. It helps if I do a text though. You'll have 3 different sections. You'll have your ELA 1, your okay, really? I apologize.
You're fine.
We're still
So you'll have ELA 1, your, oh gosh, what did I say?
contemporary lit.
For ELA 1. Trying to make it pretty. And I don't have this memorized, but I probably should. 1062.
If you guys didn't catch that, we the credit courses, we just put the IDOE course code in front of the course.
Yes.
Okay.
Right. So like 1054 is the course code for contemporary lit with the IDOE, and 1062 is grammar.
But you know that it's part of ELA 1 as the course.
Yeah.
So anytime that you see the number, it means that it's credit bearing. Anytime you don't, means that it's the umbrella or the attendance bearing. When you go to put this in, how do I want to do this? I guess I'll make 2 smaller right now. That, and smaller. So your ELA 1, you're going to include in attendance. It's the only one that you're going to include in attendance. I did want to move this a wee bit more, but I guess I'm not going to. And you're going to include in grading. The other ones you're going to exclude from attendance. And include in grading. We do it this way. Attendance gets taken once. And when we bundle them together, which I'll show you how to do, it means that the attendance will automatically go to these 2 on the back end. But in teacher view, they only have to take attendance once. If you do include an attendance in all 3, your teachers are going to have to take attendance 3 separate times for the same class, which is obviously not ideal for many different reasons, which is why we do
No.
this. On the
Okay.
flip side, you're including grading. They all have to be included in grading because it's telling you, hey, there's supposed to be a grade associated with this piece. This is not true for everything, which we'll come back to when we get to this idea when we get to the courseware part of things. But for your umbrellas, just include everything in grading because it'll be one grade book with these 2 credits attached. If you do this one as your main one and then have these 2 attached, but don't include this in grading, it won't show a grade book, but it'll still have availability for grading for these 2. It's kind of weird. I don't have a good explanation other than that's just how it's set up. But it'll make more sense as you do it, I promise. So
Okay.
I'm going to move this off to the side for a minute. Let's go in to, I'll go to my test school. I need to go back a year because I have not set it up for this year. So in section, when we're doing this, I'll use ELA 1 just to keep the example running. If it'll ever load. So your course ID is ELA, if I can see, ELA 1. Notice how all 3 pop up for me. If
Yes.
this is not how it's if it's not showing up like this, you can also push this little chain link icon. It'll pull up a different table. Okay, of course, it's going to call me a liar. It's okay, I can get the same effect by going to advanced. If you're here.
Hold on a second, I have a question. So
Yeah.
when we put these courses in Synergy, like when we open them, they should already be linked like this? Is that what I'm
No.
understanding?
No, this
Kelly is the
part
one
of
making these, I believe. Your part comes in at the scheduling and attendance and grade. This is the setup of how to get them put together. And I think we'll share. Kelly's the one making sections, right?
No,
It's
well,
a joint effort right now.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It's a joint effort right now. Whose responsibility will it be primarily?
I think primarily when the world is running correctly here,
Yeah.
it will be me
Oh, okay.
or
Fair enough.
Courtney.
Well, okay, so sorry, there's 3 of us in the room. We're all watching on one computer.
Okay, sorry.
all good.
Yeah,
We were struggling to get coverage and whatever.
that's okay.
So this is Gina and I'm the one logged in, but Kelly and Courtney are with me. So I'm the lead teacher. Then we have
Okay.
Kelly is our office manager and Courtney's our lead life coach.
So
Got
I think primarily once the world settles and it's not a group effort anymore, it will start with Kelly creating the sections, right? Which is the step we're at right now. And then it will go to life coaches making sure students are scheduled in all the appropriate sections. And then it will move to teachers who have to take attendance in the grade book. The teachers don't really have to be in charge of creation outside of deciding what classes need to be made, right? And then you guys, the teachers are going to be the ones who figure out something's wrong with either the schedule or the course because you'll see multiple grade books or you'll see a missing student from something. You know what I mean?
And they're easy fixes. It's just you guys will see them the most
Yeah,
frequently.
you guys will see the errors that happen if they do. And like, even here we see them. So like, don't freak out.
It
It
happens.
happens.
We're human.
Yeah.
You're in course. I thought you were wanting to be in section.
I am. This is actually finding the course. So if I close out of this, I'm still in section.
Oh, I see
But
it.
the course
Okay.
ID is linked to district course.
Gotcha.
So if it doesn't pop up here, it'll show you this. And I don't remember why sometimes it comes to this one and sometimes it goes as a drop down. I can look into it more if you'd prefer one or the other and it's not showing you that one. But for now, I'll show you both just to be on the safe side. So when it opens up this one, you look for whatever section it is that you're looking for, whatever district course it is that you're looking for, and then select it. push select at the top. And this is just taking information from district course. So it will fill in course ID, course title, and added benefit at the very bottom. Ooh, went too far. At the very bottom, it fills in the credit based off of what it says in district course. So if you don't want it to be the same as district course, then you'll need to change it manually. But it does fill if it's set correctly.
So when we created these courses in Synergy,
Mhm.
we didn't know all of this information. And so we just called it Contemporary Lit, the 1054. We
Mhm.
used that course code and we assigned it 2 credits for the semester.
Okay.
You
I
can
feel like that's
change
not right.
those. You can change those at any time.
Okay, that's
Right.
good.
Yeah, so you can go in and change those, and you can I have to do that all the time for state reporting because sometimes I'll be like, oh, I need to update this district course, right? Ours is a mess, and that's not Sam's fault. It's just we've had so many different sections created for different types of classes, and also we've had many different types of course catalogs, but you can go in and just change it, right? And you can also add courses at any time. Like the beginning of the school year is not the only time you can add a district course or a section. It can make things funky if you're doing it in the middle of the term, but it is possible to do.
So will that mess things up on the teacher side if we make changes to it in the middle of the term? Because like we made all of our courses 8-week courses and 2 credits because we thought that was the best thing to do at the time. In hindsight, now we really wish that we would have done 2 4-week terms because we have students that maybe only need one of those 2 credits. And so we're having them do those things on courseware because we didn't know that we could put them in as 4-week courses.
Yes, that is entirely up to your district. If you're following the Indy model, you're going to keep, like in this case, ELA 1, it will be a 8-week class all the time. ELA 1, my bad, wrong one. Will be an 8-week course all the time, but you can freely break up, change. You don't even need to use these credits if you don't want to. It's just the further you get away from the Indy model, the further, not the further away from support, but the more context is going to be needed when you're talking to people to get support on what it is that you are looking for, what you are having an issue with. But you are very welcome to create the curriculum however you want. No one's stopping you.
The rule of thumb, if you want to keep within the like most when you want to keep, if you want to start awarding different credits, but you want to keep to like the idea model that we're not like giving too many credits away, right? The best rule of thumb is that one 90-minute class in 4 weeks is enough to earn 1 credit, right? So you never want to award like 2 credits for a bridge, a 4-week class. Right?
Not entirely true. Up to 2 for a 4-week period of time.
Up to 2, but the biggest rule of it's the biggest rule of thumb. Those tend to be exemptions. I'm talking about like for like ELA 1 and 2, right, Sam?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there are exemptions to that, but like generally you can start with that kind of in mind, right?
Right. Well, and I think that's really what we want to get to is awarding the credit after 4 weeks. And ELA is probably not the best example, but like biology.
Because biology is a big
credit.
one. Geography and
Yes.
history of the world's a big one too.
Yeah.
And so there are you can do it with ELA English, but you would have to ensure that they are only teaching contemporary lit the first 4 weeks.
Right.
And
that's hard to
only
do.
grammar the second 4 weeks. And that's harder to do. So we tend not to do that with any of our English classes.
Okay, that makes
But
sense.
the student can just get an extra credit. Like it's not going to break anything, and you're not going to get in trouble.
We can't award them that credit if they've already earned that credit, if that makes sense. Like,
Depends.
Well, it depends. If they're coming into you, because most students you get are only going to have like English 9, 10, or 11, right? And they might all count for English, but they're not the same credit. So like if the student, let's say you have a student who has 7 English credits, they have like English 9, English 10, and English 11 done, and 1 credit of
Right.
English 12,
Mhm.
right? If you put them in ELA 1, grammar is going to complete their English requirements for the core 40, and then contemporary literature is going to become an elective.
Yes, that makes sense.
Right. The only
Mhm.
time it won't count for anything is if they already have that very specific credit awarded twice or once
Yes.
for some of these English classes.
It depends on maximum.
Yeah, it depends on maximum. So, but you won't get in trouble. It just won't count for anything.
Right.
So you can still put them in ELA 1, which tends to be the easier option for some of them, you know?
Yeah.
One
Okay, so I
more
have one
piece.
more question before you move on. I'm sorry. But
Okay.
Courtney's got Synergy pulled up and we're trying to kind of navigate this. So what did you put in as the district course for the ELA 1?
For our ELA 1, for the umbrella or for the specific credits?
For the umbrella, I think.
So umbrella, I just put the course ID and I almost always do the course ID and the short course title as the same. Not the same, sorry, as the numbers, and then whatever the class is in the course ID and the short course title, I'll put whatever the actual credit is, like the shortened version of that. Of course, this is a terrible example to show you for that, but that's okay. For the umbrellas, these are always the same because it's just a class. There's no credits associated with it. Then I do 0, 0, because we don't want any credits. Department doesn't matter too much. The course duration, we are not sure if it matters too much or not. That's a new issue that Kim is going to let me know if I need to
I'm going to
change it.
rain hellfire on earth.
Yes.
Don't worry
So,
about it. Don't worry about it.
If it becomes an issue, we'll let you know.
Yeah.
Course history type should always be high school. Your academic type is almost always regular, but you could have extra ones when you're talking about not in-person classes. For example, if a student came with an honors credit, it'll usually be marked with a like -8H, or it'll say honors, whatever it is. Those ones will be obviously honors credits and have a different
Honors
district course
actually,
entirely.
honors don't have a different IDUE course code though, so you don't have to
Correct.
specify them. You do need to specify advanced placement in college credit. Those are the classes that have different course codes with the
Yes.
either have a different course code with the IDUE or have to be reported differently. So those are the ones you absolutely want to make sure you don't have them set to regular.
Correct. Everything else though, regular, nice and easy.
How long before you started feeling comfortable?
That
With the
assumes we feel
process.
comfortable now.
Right.
Comfortable-
Okay.
Comfortable
No.
is definitely a roller coaster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It depends on what we're talking about.
Okay.
The things that you do a lot, for example, you'll deal with district course, you'll deal with sections, you'll deal with figuring out attendance issues and your grade books, right? Those are all things
Mhm.
that you're going to do a lot. Those you'll be comfortable with relatively quickly, couple of months kind of a thing, especially with the problems that you come across and
Uh-huh.
problem solving and troubleshooting and all of that. The things that you don't do as often, for example, New Year rollover. This is my 3rd time around and I still had a mess up with transferring all of my sections from the previous school year into the new school year to start with. So that one I'm still not super comfy with, right?
Okay.
It just depends. It also depends on how many issues you run into with the specific piece of it that you've got. District course, you probably aren't going to run into too many issues, other than at the start when you're trying to figure out, oh, this checkbox means that I can see it when I'm trying to add a course to student course history, but I won't see it otherwise unless it has mandatory, right? It's figuring out those little things, and then you're good. Whereas something like attendance missing could be a billion different issues. It could be enrollment. It could be a checkbox. It could be a teacher's permissions. It could be that has a lot more that can go wrong with it. So it'll take a little bit longer to get completely comfortable with it.
All right.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. I don't know if that helps, but you will be okay. You will make it through.
Oh, I have complete confidence that I have the intelligence to get this, but I do have to say it makes me question it.
I fully understand. Yes, yes, yeah, yeah. We feel you.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
Um. So to keep it moving along, because we're already
Yes.
at 1:30.
Yep.
Come down. This one fills automatically if you have it set to, but it'll just be 9 through 12. Same with here, 9 through 12. That one doesn't matter if it's set or not, as far as I'm aware. This part does change. Your course subject areas. In this case, if an umbrella, I don't actually know why this one's even set to English. It should be not applicable. And this is something that I took straight from GEI. So if you want this list, you can have it. If you don't, oh, there it is, not applicable. If you want to make your own, the big things are English, Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, and then you can skip a couple, right? All of the smaller boxes that go with the Core 40 diploma credits, those ones you absolutely need. So your world history and civilization or geography and history of the world, your United States history, your government, econ. This one you don't need because it's general diploma specific. As you go along and fill them out, what this is doing is saying, okay, this course, anytime a student earns a credit with this course, that credit is going to go towards English. If I put this as Algebra 1, any student that earns this ELA 1 credit that credit's now going to go to the Algebra 1 box in the graduation requirements. We hanging in?
Yes, I was just going through my main classes and I don't see anything like your list.
No worries. We can get that figured out. I can send screenshots and then you guys can either add all of them or add none of them.
Yeah, I've been
not-
taking
not a problem.
pictures too.
Oh yeah, that works.
We
too.
might want to put a note down that we can like have you guys share your screen one meeting, and then we can like walk you through where we think updates might be needed
Yeah,
too.
that is entirely fair. This one you can change it anytime, so it's not like this one has to be set up beforehand. It's just obviously good practice too, because we all forget when we go
Yeah.
back. But this one tells you when a student is actually done with their diploma. There's a nice report that you can pull, and I'm not going to go over that right now, but it's a nice report that you could pull that says, yep, they're done. They've got their 2 Algebra 1s, their 2 Geometry, 2 Algebra 2, their 8 English, right? You set those things up, and it will put the credits in as you have coded them here. Nice and easy. Going down, there's nothing else that you need on this page. Description, most of this is not mandatory. As you see, this one's completely empty, basically. I like to put in a short description as the short course title. The description, I just take whatever's in the DOE course catalog, just copy and paste, just so we know what it says without having to go and look at it when there's no confusion. And the extended info, I like to personally put the year that it was last updated, because sometimes these change drastically, both with what they say and with what credits they count as, how many credits. So I like to put that here just so that there's some record of when it was last changed. Down below, I put in all of this when it's applicable. I don't think this one's necessary, but then you come down here and this is necessary. The state courts classification. You need to check off regular, advanced, or dual credit. This is kind of what Kim was talking about earlier, like it has to be coded this way. Your area of high ability, it's either it is or it isn't. Nice and easy. Going down, don't need any of that. If it's a college course, you need to put in the specific college information. Your college code is going to be like, for IB Tech, we do IVYTT, ITTC,
I think
ITCC. That
I
looks
report in numbers, so I don't know what you put there.
right. There's a little like a little you can call it whatever you want as long as you know that it's Ivy Tech, right? And then there's a college course code. This is the one that's the number, and I do not remember Ivy Tech's off the top of my head. I apologize.
Yeah, you also have to put in those drop downs.
Yeah, I'm working on it. So I'm just gonna say 100 just because I'm not 100% sure which one it is. I can go find it out. Because obviously I don't have it memorized. College course title. This is if it is what's the equivalent of English 5? ENGL 111. This is Ivy Tech's like entrance English class. You use whatever they use it. They call it. How many college course credits is it? Almost always 3. Then you do the state course code. This is a large drop down. I do not recommend trying to go through it. I would just start typing whatever it is that you need and then finding it. After that, department code you don't need. Class indicator you don't need. Oh, and then here's Ivy Tech for the institution. Oop. And that is it if it is a college course. Yes. Come down. CRDC is one of the reports that needs to be done. When is that? I apologize.
It's every 2 years, except for they're doing it this year. You guys won't have to do this for 2 years, I think, unless they surprise us all and do it next year. But I don't foresee a world in which they will. The Department of Justice asks for civil rights data collection every 2 years. It's an evaluation of enrollment, discipline incidents. It's basically, do you enroll a specific, they want to make sure you're not doing anything mean or wrong to people that they tend to try to protect. You know what I mean? Like disabled populations, minority populations, that kind of thing. You are exempt because it typically every 2 years they ask for data for the previous year. So you guys didn't exist last year, so you don't have to worry about it this year. But setting this up early is kind of nice. But they do change their minds sometimes. So keep that in mind.
Yeah.
It's huge and the bane of my existence.
For
So.
this though,
Mhm.
you just select the subject area. All of these align to whatever DOE has coded it as on the back end.
Actually, Synergy in the Department of Justice.
Sorry. DOJ tells you
Yeah.
what it aligns to.
Yeah.
So these come straight from them. Everything else comes from DOE. That is my bad.
Mhm.
And then the course code, if it's applicable.
If it's not, you can leave them blank. Like they don't
Yes.
really care about electives. So
And that is it on this page.
Okay.
I'm writing notes while she types.
Yeah, I've been writing notes as well.
I have a question for you.
Recorded, so, yes.
So when you create the district code,
Mhm.
what do you put, or the district course, what do you put in as the code? Like where you have course ID ELA1, because we don't have that.
We just put in the name of the class. So like ELA1, if it's an umbrella course, and then if it's a credit bearing course. So at this stage, you have to make the determination, is it going to have credits attached to it or not? For an umbrella course like this one, it's not, because, you know, it's the head of the umbrella, right? So you just put ELA1. But like geography and history of the world or biology, you would put, we put the 4-digit IDOE course number, then the class. So it would be like, what's biology? 1032 bio 1. Right? Not 1032. That's a completely different class.
3024.
Thank you. I haven't entered transcripts
was
in like
getting
6
there.
months, so I've started forgetting what course codes are. Does
And
that
I'm
make
not
sense?
comfortable with numbers,
Yes.
so.
Yeah. But I will, from a state reporting perspective, which actually is kind of important at this level, it does not, you get to make them whatever you want. So like when you report them to the state, there is no IDOE standardization for that. It's free form, but I would recommend whatever naming convention you grab is easy to teach, is identifiable, and that you keep it until the end of time.
Yeah.
So Sam and I did not decide this was how we were going to name classes. That is what we were taught to do and what started in 2015. So we've just kept it going. So like you will always know that ELA1 is ELA1 and there's no number in front of it. So it's an umbrella course. Right?
Thank you.
Yeah. And if it has a number in front of it, it's what?
I think we're catching on.
Okay. Yeah. It takes practice. Sam tried to
yeah.
explain it to me the first time and I was more lost than you guys and I'd been here for 7 years. So like, don't worry about it.
And this is probably a good point to point out that umbrellas aren't needed unless it is 2 or more entirely separate DOE credits. Everything else, you can just call it what it is. If it's the biology, it's the 1034 bio. That's the only section that you need. You include it in attendance, include it in grading, and you're set. No other weird stuff going on. If you're doing bridges and you're splitting it up, then you can do 1054 ELA1 for one. You don't need to deal with umbrellas, and you can do 1062 ELA1 for the other. Again, no umbrellas. So it just depends on the set.
Would you not put an umbrella over it?
Because the only reason that we use the umbrella is so that we don't have to take attendance multiple times and keep multiple grade books for the same exact class.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. This makes it easier on the teachers.
Yes, understandably.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
So, moving on, you can stay away from this tab. This tab I'm playing around with. This is if you want to force specific pre and co-requisites on your coaches when they're scheduling. However, if you force it, that means that if, say, prerequisite is English Foundations 2, even if they come to you with credits, then they have to still take English Foundations 2, which isn't ideal, obviously, for multiple reasons. So it's a nice idea. It's just not quite there. Not quite there for what we need it for. Schools teaching, it's just a list of all the schools that have access to this at the moment. Associated courses, I like to keep all of mine bundled together. I don't think that this actually does anything other than keeping track of what's related to what. But it's entirely optional otherwise. Standards we aren't using. If you guys want to try this out, there's a way to set up standards where when you put assignments into the grade books as teachers, you can link specific assignments, specific quizzes, essays, tests, etc., to standards that are hopefully aligned in some way, shape, or form. And then it's a nice overview for the district to keep track of things, but that obviously has a whole lot of setup, and I'm not quite sure what all you need to do it because we don't do it. But if you want to look into it, I will gladly help you out however I can.
Okay.
Sorry, it's a long speech to say I don't
You don't
know,
really
but-
need it?
Correct. This one you do need. So opt-in options, you need to set it for high school. If for some reason you do change it to where you guys have middle school available, you'll need middle school, but I sincerely doubt you will because that's not, the Excel Center way. It's only high school. So high school. If this is not checked, you will not be able to find it in section. It will not pop up at all.
Hello.
Course fees, we don't do that. So you don't need to worry about that one. Equivalencies, this is where you can tell Synergy, and it's not perfect, so you might still need to double check, but if it is something where, let's say you do 1054 ELA 1 as a bridge, you might want to tell it that this specific credit as the ELA, as the 1054 ELA 1 is the same as this 1054 contempt lit. Otherwise, it's counting 2 credits the same way, even if and it's overriding any maximums because it doesn't understand. This is where you can tell it these are the same credit. So it has to follow whatever the maxes are based off of what you put in the subject area. I apologize if that was confusing. I can draw it out if we need to. Okay. Let me bring back over my oh so beautiful paint here. Go back up to like 28. So if you have 2 different classes set up, so we've got this ELA 54, sorry, 1054 ELA 1 over here. But if you wanted to run 1054 by itself and call it CLIT, C COLIT. I like that better. 1054 COLIT, contemporary lit. Synergy is going to say, okay, this is a credit of this sort. It's going to say this is a credit of this sort, but it won't read these as the same credit.
So it's going to award them a separate credit.
Correct. And that's a problem if, say, this is we'll say 2, just to make it easy. If it's a 2 credit max, and you have this one count, they already took this once, and they're taking it again here, it'll say, okay, that's 2. That's checked off for this 1. But then if you take it over here, it's going to award them 2 more because this has a 2 max. So they'll end up with 4 of the same credit, which is not okay because it's a 2 credit.
No, it's not. Okay.
Does that make more sense?
A little.
Awesome.
I'm still kind of lost. Sorry to
It's
say.
okay. That one's a little harder for me to explain without having an actual good visual to use. So I apologize.
Sure.
But when you say that they are equivalent, it's going to say, okay, I can't award 4 because this is a max of 2. And they'll only take 2 of the 4 credits that they attempted.
Which is okay.
Which is good. That's what we want because that's what
Okay.
DOE wants.
All right.
So that's all this does, is it's just saying this course is the same as this course. Okay. So once that's all set up, we go back into section. So
I'm a little bit confused, like, and I don't know if you guys can even answer this, but all of our courses were input into Synergy. It could have been from one of you, honestly. I have no idea, but we got a spreadsheet of all of the classes, and that was imported into Synergy so that we didn't have to create all of those. So when we did that, would it not have already been created as like the umbrellas with then the courses linked to it?
Not
No.
exactly.
It may, because you have to like manually link them, I think.
Correct.
Okay.
That
Right.
is the one thing that you absolutely manually have to do.
Yeah, there might be a way that that spreadsheet works that way, but like this is one of the reasons why we don't use the spreadsheet, because we find it much. The spreadsheet is probably useful for at least getting the basics in, because now you don't have to go in and like hand create everything. You can just edit what already exists, which in one way is
Yes.
easier,
That's
right?
correct.
But now you have a bunch of district courses in there. So really all you need to do is just edit what already exists. And district courses, you can import them to a following school year. So you're never really going to have to do that again,
Okay.
you know? So,
Actually, district course, you don't need to move between school years. It just exists.
oh, it
Whatever
just
you change
exists.
there, it
Yeah.
changes every single school year.
That's
It's
why
the
our list
school
is
courses
so,
that make the difference.
yes.
Correct.
It's why it's why our list is so huge.
Mm.
Right?
Yes.
So yeah, any questions about the spreadsheet would probably be best forwarded to like GEI, but like it is one of the reasons I think Sam elected not to use it, because we haven't been able to get it to work in a way that it doesn't save us as much time as it would be just to create what we need now that we have this basis to work from. You know?
Mhm.
And once you update them, you know, they're updated forever.
Right.
So,
Okay.
Okay. Section creation for our ELA 1 with umbrellas, with the umbrella. Your naming convention can be whatever you want it to be. Again, try to keep it simple, something that has a formula, and make sure that you just stick to it, because the section ID has to be unique each school year. It could be the same. Say if you did ELA1 with my test school has Johnny Test as our staff. Has ELA1 with Johnny Test first period, first term, both in this school year and next school year. That's fine. But in the same school year, you have to have a unique section ID.
and you get a new section every term as well.
Yes,
So you do make new sections every term.
correct.
All
Yeah.
right.
So in my case, I'm just going to stick with the term 1, period 1 with Johnny Test just to show everything off.
I already wrote out our naming conventions for them if they want to steal them.
Yes, so
They're really useful.
they are. The other thing to keep in mind is the section ID has a max length of, I think it's 20 characters. So you do have to fill in, you have to make it unique with a formula that's not going to be duplicated too often and keep it in within 20 characters or whatever it is. It's not the easiest. So, but that's okay. This is what we use. If you have numbers, put them on the front. The abbreviation of the course that you're using, and then dash. So you've got the course itself, dash, and then this is where you get the little craziness with letters and numbers. I use the abbreviation of the school. In my case, this is test school. The term, because we go biggest to smallest. Your school is the biggest. Your term is the next biggest. Then we want the teacher. In my case, this is going to be Johnny Test, so I use his initials, and then the period. Biggest to smallest every time. Staff, you fill in with whoever it is. Room, if you have it set up, obviously for test school, I don't. Periods, beginning period, move that out of the way, end period, term code. If you are using any bridges, you'll want to make sure that you use the A and B, or if you're calling it something different than whatever it is that you're using for that. Also, year is here if you want it to run the entire year. Attendance, this is where, again, this is the beginning here. So we want to include in attendance and include in grading. Instructional method is important for state reporting. For our state reporting, it's not green because it's not required everywhere. This is where you select. Yours is probably going to look different. We expanded ours so that we can keep track of more information easily. But this is it. I think it's in person, one teacher, in person, more than one teacher, and then I can't remember what the other one's called. I think it's just other, isn't it? Or did they change it?
The method of instruction?
Yeah.
I don't know. If they've decided to change it, they wouldn't have told us yet because we don't have to report that yet.
That's true.
Choose the best option that fits.
Yes,
And keep in mind, you might have to evaluate it later.
uh, yes. And if you wanted to use the ones that I've got here, we just have them linked to specific to whatever DOE says for the year that matches most closely with what we put. Oh, technology-based instruction in classroom. There we go.
Yeah. So
Face-to-face instruction. Yeah.
the thing about what you see in Synergy on the back end, there's 3 layers to evaluate anything you create in Synergy on. Okay. The first one is, what do teachers see directly in their grade books and everything, which is the simplest thing, like for attendance and everything, right?
Mm.
The next layer is what's in the Synergy system, which is like the stuff Sam's showing you now, right? These things. The next thing is further back, which is something that like not a lot of you are going to see, which is this lookup table that Sam's looking at. Something, for instance, we have an attendance code, or even here, like we have Edmentum Play-Doh, because when a coach or a teacher or somebody looks at the section, right, they're going to know what that means. But the state doesn't have a code for Edmentum. The code wants to know about credit recovery technology-based instruction, right? So this lookup table on the back end from a state reporting perspective is basically saying, okay, anytime we say classes Edmentum, this is what we mean per the state. And so when we send it to the state, we're sending technology-based instruction instead of Edmentum. Right?
Okay, so this is like a conversation that we've been having a lot lately,
Yeah.
is like tracking student attendance for Edmentum.
Mhm.
I don't think we put that in as one of our attendance codes, but can we go back and edit our attendance code so that we can record Edmentum Play-Doh as an attendance code?
Yes, and that's part of what I referenced last week when I said you would probably want to make a whole other class period in your bell schedule for that to make it easier. Because you guys
Yes.
only have 1 through 4, I believe. So
Correct.
we make period 7 for that purpose.
I'll show you
Right.
how to set up when we
And
get
Yeah.
Sam's got that on the list for today. So yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
But
awesome. Thank you.
You can go back and pretty much everything is fixable. Right? It's just most. Most of the stuff we're talking about is something that you can go back and change as needed. You just need to be aware of what steps you need to do to ensure you don't miss anything.
And if you can't fix it within what you've already created, there's a lot of workarounds for things. So
Yeah.
it's okay. It just might be a little harder. So I'm gonna rush through the rest of this one so I can finish up this a little bit because we're already at 2:00. So maximum, you can set it to whatever. If you want to enforce specific amounts of students in the classroom, this prohibit assigning additional students once the max is reached, regardless of class size limit rules in school scheduling options. That's a lot of stuff to say. If it reaches a max, you can't do it. There is this also section override password, so maybe your lead life coach has access to put in extra students after a conversation. There's ways to do that, or you could just leave it open and just free for all.
Yeah.
Entirely up to you guys, however you want to do it. Moving down. Other things that are important here. If it's independent study, this checkbox needs to be checked. If it is a credit recovery, this needs to say yes. So your courseware classes, Edmentum, Play-Doh, whatever you're calling it, this needs to be a yes. It's how we how we what's the wording that I want to use here? It's how we classify it so that our students are still in person. And there's a lot of rules around that, but
It's
this is
part
a
of
little
it, but
bit
yeah.
of that.
Plato's
Yes,
credit
yes.
recovery.
Yep.
Just so you guys are aware.
Yes. Sorry, that was a lot of thinking to say that. College credit. This one's a fun one. You know what? No, I'm not going to go into this now. When
Don't
we
worry
get
about
to
it right
college
now.
credit, yep. Just know that this is a thing later. Other than that, we move down. Like I said, your credits need to be in here. If you wanted to add students right away, you can do that. This is typically not done by the whoever's setting up the sections, just because student schedules change so drastically so fast. So that's usually a conversation with the coach and the coach schedules. But if there's some magical world where we know everyone's schedule beforehand, this is nice and easy. A nice and easy way to do that. Once you have this in here, I'm going to speed through two more just to get them in here. You save it. There we go. I'm going to add my two credit bearing sections. Dot, dot, dot. There we go. And 54. I just copy and pasted what I just had just to make it nice and easy on myself. I highly recommend that to save you some time. If you're importing your classes, then you don't need to do this part of everything. You just need to do the linking. But I did want to walk you through this just in case. Make it as
Can I
easy
just
as
clarify, is the section ID the same for all three of them?
It's close to the same. The difference here is that this is going to have that IDOE code in the front, and then I'm keeping everything after that because the rest is the same, right? It's still an ELA 1 class. It's still in the test school term 1 with Johnny test period 1. The only difference is that this is the credit bearing class. Because
Thank
this
you.
is
So
you're
you know how
welcome.
you make 3 district courses for this? Each section starts with the district course name. So like you'd have 3 different sections, each one with like either a different course code or just ELA, right?
Yep. Once we come down here, oh, actually, I did want to keep that up. Now we're excluding from attendance because we're telling it, hey, I don't want the teacher to have to take this attendance because they're already taking that same attendance in this one.
Section ID, because.
So exclude, but include in grading. Because we still want a grade to go towards this credit in this class or this section is what I probably should say. After that, the rest stays the same. Go all the way down, make sure that this is filled in. Mine did fill in. Save.
Okay, so we're trying to fix this on ours. And
Okay.
it says since the term already started, we cannot edit.
So once you have one started, the things that you can change are the things that you can't change are your section ID itself. The course ID can change and the course title with it. Your staff can change, your room can change, your beginning period, end period, and term code are not allowed to change.
So in that instance, you would have to do a new section.
Usually, yes. So if
Okay.
you really need to, so something to keep in mind with all of this, your section ID is technically just the name that Synergy is seeing. The rest of this is who it's linking up to, what it's linking up to. So
Sure.
if it's something where, oh, we have this in here already, but we actually want this to be ELA 1, like just ELA 1, not with the credits, that's fine. You can change that. Or you should be able to change it. Of
What are
course,
you looking
now let
for?
me double check it myself. I
So
change both of these, accomplish save, and Just kidding. Cannot.
Yeah. So
One double check.
here's what I would recommend as the workaround. And this is something that is actually good to learn because you might run into this if you have a staff member leave mid-year. Sam and I are actually going to have to do this at the end of term 1 because we have a couple staff resigning that are teaching like year-long classes. One of the it's term 1, you won't have to do this pretty regularly, but for the classes where this isn't syncing up right and the things you can't edit, you might just need to let us find the grades, right? That too. That is a step if you want to show them, Sam. But
Well, I was going to show him, but
yeah, but one of the things we do in this situation is we tend to leave the mistaken stuff we made, we just let it lie. We change, we keep it linked up. At the end of the term, we go in and we change the staff to cancel, do not use, right?
which I did not have applicable to the test school, which is why it did not show up. But
Yeah,
in theory, you
we have a
change it
teacher
to-
called canceled.
Yes.
So that people don't assign people to the class. And then we will just on the back end, very quick, create the sections as we need them, and then enter the students in it and post their grades. This means that there is still a record of the grade book that exists, right? That we can go back and manually find if needed. But grade books do not send to the state. The only thing that sends is the final grade. Right? So like that transition is actually pretty easy because you're just entering final letter grades for these students. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's a lot of work. I know you guys are probably like, oh my God, this is going to be so much work. And it could be. I'm very sorry. But that is one of the things
around for it.
Yeah, but that's the workaround for this kind of situation. So but I wouldn't, unless you can change some of it now, I don't know if I would, but also like are you guys trying to change the district course? Because it sounds like some of your classes, you could just change the district course if that's possible and you might be okay. Like not in the section, but like actually in the district course screen, you could just change the credits assigned.
That's
You might
also
want to look at that.
Especially since you
Right
guys
now,
are
we think
just now
only our
starting.
director can change the district courses. So we're having to just take lots of notes and hopefully
Gotcha.
get someone access or.
So Sam
them
and I
change
will want to
it.
meet with him. Yeah. So
Yeah.
are all of your district courses assigned 2 credits?
I don't think so. I mean, we did them all based on, it wasn't the spreadsheet you were showing earlier, but there was a spreadsheet that Danielle from GEI gave us that told
Okay.
like what courses were how many credits. And so that's how we did it.
Okay. So we might want to just take a peek at some of them.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. The way this is one of the things that suck when you're building a new school. I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
sometimes the best way to figure out where you need to fix things is at the end, right? So like once you guys run a grade posting process, you can look at your students' transcripts and go, this one has too many credits. This one didn't earn the credit they needed. And then you can go back from there and evaluate and update as needed, right? While at the same time making sure you're set up properly for term 2 so that you don't have to do that again.
I know we could go on for hours and hours and hours, but if I could ask just one last question.
Yeah.
For credits, should most of the classes be 2 credits? Or did I hear
Depends.
everything wrong?
The classes that the students are taking, yes, but when you're setting them up in district course or section, it depends on their status. Are they umbrella? Are they not? How are students getting scheduled in that?
Okay.
Right? So like if a student's taking ELA 1, they don't want 2 contemporary lit and 2 grammar. They only
Right.
want 1 of each. So they're still getting 2 credits, but if your district course is set to 2 contemporary lit and that's the one you have linked to ELA 1, they're going to get 2 contemporary lit credits.
Unless you change it in the section,
Unless you change it in the section, yeah.
which you can do.
So once we get all this set up correctly, if we enroll the student in the umbrella course, say the ELA 1,
Mhm.
then will Synergy automatically enroll them in the 1054 contemporary lit and the 1062 grammar?
The coach will
No.
have to assign them in all 3 classes.
It would be nice if it would, though.
Yeah, but the coach will have to schedule them in all 3 sections, but they will only show up in one grade book and one attendance roster.
Whenever,
Go.
okay, so I have a quick question. So whenever we initially did it, I went in and I tried to assign students to contemporary lit and also grammar. So
Mhm.
whenever I try to do that, it physically won't let me do it after I assign the first one since they have a class period at that time already.
Oh, that's a setting for schedule. There's a scheduled setting for that, I think, Sam, right?
Yes.
You have to allow
I need to
concurrent
remember where it
scheduling.
is.
We'll find where it is.
I'm going to try and quickly wrap up section here so we can
Yeah.
move on. Once you have your umbrella set and your whatever other classes you have that have the credits, this is the part that links them together. Gradebook main class. It will not show any classes until you have the other classes set up. Fair warning. So this is where I'll click ELA 1, period 1. The way that this works is it'll show the period and then the course ID, section ID, sorry, wrong word. The section ID and give you some more information based off of that. So I click that, push save, and now it's linked. The gradebook will be all in one. It'll just say ELA 1, and the attendance will all be in one. And it'll just be ELA 1. But it will go to both sections on the back end. Did you have a question, Michelle?
No.
Okay, fair enough. Moving on. Let's look at some of these settings, which is going to help us with the courseware part. The concurrent one, I think, is in district setup. Bear with me as I take a look with you. Yes, so there's a little checkbox here. Do not allow no-show or inactive if student no. Keep concurrent enrollment on inactive, no. Concurrent options. There's a whole different tab for it. Once it's set up, you don't need to worry about it again. That's the next part of this part.
I don't
So
know.
it doesn't
this
look
is
like
talking
yours
about
has anything in it. However, mine has yes, 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 and yes
Yes.
in the first 4
yes,
boxes.
Yes and yes.
Correct.
It'll be interesting to see where that pops up later.
This
We
is
don't-
talking about concurrent schools, not concurrent classes at the same time, which is interesting.
Yeah, you guys
Yeah.
don't do concurrent enrollment. So I don't think it will actually ever do anything because I don't think you will have any students who actually qualify for that.
Okay, so I
Mhm.
shouldn't worry about the setup at this time.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about the setup at this time. I tend to just let that kind of stuff lie until it becomes an issue later
Okay.
on. And you'll know if something starts looking funky down the line, you'll be like, I have no idea what this is. You'll know.
Gotcha. All right.
So
Well, maybe
We
it's
have to
not
find
district setup.
we just keep the same settings every year because they're good. So this is what happens when people ask for this setup thing because we haven't done it in forever. We're sorry.
This might be something where I have to just come back to in a minute. And I'll send a screenshot / instructions when I do find it. Because I guarantee you it is a checkbox somewhere.
It's almost always a checkbox somewhere.
It's always a checkbox. It's always a checkbox. There's always a freaking checkbox. Checkboxes are the bane of my existence.
Here, I'll keep digging for it if you want to get to Play-Doh stuff.
Sounds good. Periods. So the way that we have it set up for a couple of different reasons. This period, oh, sorry, no, need to start with school setup. So you'll have to do this by individual school, which at this point you guys just have one, nice and easy. Start period and end period. All this means is what is the minimum period and what is the maximum period. If I wanted to make this 20, I can make it 20. If I want to make this 4, I can make this 4. It will only give me 1, 2, 3, 4 periods, or it'll give me 1, 2, etc. up to 20 periods. That is all this does. After that's set up however you want it to be, then you go to period rotation definition. The reason that they have it set up this way, or at least I'm pretty sure this is why, is in school calendar, you can go away. You can set up, or you have to say this day is a Monday, this day is a Tuesday, this day is a Wednesday, etc. I think the reason that they have this is so that you can choose whether something is a, like, if you're doing black and gold days, or if you have these days are regular days and these days are after, I don't know what you'd call it, but you know, it gives you more options as far as scheduling and what classes are available during what days, what days that get attendance or not. That's a whole different thing. You're probably just going to have Monday through Friday.
Nothing.
On this period rotation periods, my bad, this is where you tell it on these days,
Push the button.
period 1 will take
There you
attendance.
go.
Period 2 will take attendance, etc. Here's where things can get interesting. So we have period 11 set as Monday, Wednesday, because we do have some night classes that only run on Mondays and Wednesdays, as well as Tuesday and Thursday. So I personally recommend having a couple of those set up just so that you have them if you need them. We also have, see, in all of our other schools, these have been moved to Tuesday. Fair warning.
Thursday.
Thursday. Sorry, Thursday. But they're in Friday right now. What this does is say, okay, for period 7, the only day, regardless of what it says, that will have attendance is Friday, or in the other schools, Thursday. We utilize period 7 to keep track of courseware and only courseware. Actually, I have my whole little thing down here. I like to write in little notes wherever I can. I can show you how to do all this later. I'm not going to go into it, but this is nice. So you've got 1 through 4 is your Monday through Thursday normal days. That's what you all have set up right now. I would recommend having at least one extra period of a Monday through Thursday, because there are some instances where if you have two classes where a student is taking, oops, not that, where a student is taking, we'll just keep using ELA 1 as our example, taking this 1054 ELA 1, that's the course ID, not the section ID, the course ID for it. If it is in the same period, it's still only going to take one attendance, one grade. It will not take 2, even though it has the option for 2. And which one it takes is entirely random. So if you have, say they're going in between 2 classes at the same time, just different teachers, I'll say Johnny Test and Jane Doe. If both of them are teaching this ELA 1, but they have the same student in the same period and with the same course number, it's only going to say present or absent for 1, and it'll take it at random between those 2. So if they're absent in 1 and present in the other, sometimes it'll say present, sometimes it'll say absent. It gets really funky. So that is one of the reasons why I recommend having at least one extra. And if that was confusing, I apologize. I hope and pray that you don't have to run into that issue. Just know that that's why. 7, like I said, we have it specifically for Edmentum Courseware, Plato. This keeps it easy for us to keep track of data, as well as gives it its own period. So we don't need to worry about it messing with other grades, other attendance going on.
So when you create that Edmentum Plato course and you put it to Friday only, does that mean you're only taking attendance in it once a week?
Correct.
Yeah, we follow the GEI model where we take attendance for Edmentum Courseware weekly and they have to meet a time on task of 25 minutes in a week. That's the minimum.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we still encourage them to come in person and work on it in person. And most of our students do reach like multiple hours of work every week, but the minimum
Yeah.
requirement is 25 minutes within a week period defined by the attendance date. So this year it's actually Thursday. We've moved it to Thursday. So a student has from Friday to Thursday to get 25 minutes of time on task to get marked positive.
That's giving them a lot of grace.
Yeah, but we just follow GEI's policy on that one. We could
Sure.
up it if we wanted to, but yeah, it is, it is, which is why we try to avoid Plato only students, right?
Okay, right.
Yeah. And we can come back to this conversation in a tiny bit. Let me get through the other periods and then we can delve into what we do specifically for courseware, including attendance, integrity pieces, how we set it up, all of that.
Yeah.
Period 8, I have set up to just be independent studies and classes that don't fit our terms. So my example here is jail. We've had jail classes that do not start and end on our term dates. This allows them to roll over without causing too much headache. It also is, again, a nice way for us to keep data and keep track of things a lot easier of, oh, this is a student that's taking an independent study versus this is a student that is doing courseware.
Most of the reports you pull in Synergy where you're going to be evaluating that data include the class period, but nothing
Yes.
else. So
Yes.
that's why we have the different class periods so that I can go, oh, this is in period 8, that's independent study attendance, or that's an independent study class schedule.
Yes. Period 9, I have reserved for dual credit and certification. Period 10, I have for tests of all sorts. So if it's a test out, if it is a student is out, not out of the building necessarily, but they're taking the SAT, but they're not in class, this still gives us that opportunity to mark them as present, even though they're not in their assigned class at the time, if that makes sense. I also use 10 for the box 2 pathways, which is project-based learning, work-based learning, and service-based learning, because DOE now wants that on the transcript, but they didn't exactly say how to go about it. So this is our workaround.
They just want you to have this section with a student in it is really what
Well,
they
yeah,
want.
it's
So.
no credit. It's just there's a very specific course code that goes with it, and it shows up on the transcript.
Okay, so my rotation days and rotation periods are completely blank. So we've never set those up apparently.
So I think it's automatically asking for attendance every day. Are teachers getting attendance requests on, like, have to take attendance on Fridays?
They are taking attendance every day.
As you say, that also would include Saturday and Sunday then, yeah?
Oh, no.
Oh yeah, okay, we can, here's the unlike section, this is one of those things that once you change it, it'll just erase all the stuff that you don't
Well,
want, right?
It
Okay.
doesn't erase, it archives. So if you open it back
Yeah.
up, it's okay
Yeah.
still that whatever attendance was taken will be there. So this is very forgiving.
Yeah, this one's forgiving. So like if you go in and you set that up to be only Monday through Thursday, it will like archive and hide all the Friday, Saturday, Sunday attendance.
Correct.
Okay.
And it won't report it to the state, so you won't have to worry about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
11, like I said, is Monday and Wednesday. 12 is Tuesday, Thursday. I have a completely different setup for our kids' Excel program because they run entirely different. But that's kind of what that looks like. Any last questions before I change screens? Because we'll jump right into courseware.
No, go ahead.
Okay.
Or at least not on my end. I shouldn't speak for
I
Evansville.
was gonna say, Gina, you got any? Or your group has any?
We're kind of unsure what to ask at this point.
Okay.
And it's entirely fair.
Where this kind of goes into Play-Doh, and like you don't have to choose period 7, but
Oh, yeah, you can make it whatever you want.
yeah, for periods 1 through 4, this is going to be the same for all of us because I'm assuming we're all operating under the Monday to Thursday schedule for our in-person classes, and we don't take attendance on Fridays, correct?
Right.
And so
Correct.
you'll probably want to set your period rotation definition to look like these 1 through 4 that Sam has. And then if you do not have to do what we or GEI does for credit recovery, i.e. Edmentum Courseware, right? You could have it so that you just schedule it so that attendance is taken every day. So your first step is going to be deciding as a school, do we want to take Play-Doh attendance every day, which is a valid choice. South Bend did it for 3 years, right? It was horrific, but we did it, right? Or you could move to a weekly option. If you decide that you are going to have to make a new, you're going to have to do the first step that Sam showed us before this screen, and you're going to have to add a class period to your school, right? You could make it period 5. You could make it period 6. You can make it period 20. It doesn't matter. It's just, you get to decide, right? Just make sure everybody knows. Everybody at your level knows, right? We have 12 periods because we have multiple different types of classes running. At your guys' level, you probably only need 1 extra period right now, right? So you can make period 5 that period.
Correct.
When we first opened, period 5 was our Play-Doh period. So you could do that, right? So you could, so you're going to make another period, and then you're going to go to period rotation definition, and you're going to leave every day blank except for Thursday or Friday, whichever day you want to take the attendance. I chose Thursday because I was really tired of people forgetting to take their attendance for Play-Doh on Friday when my engagement report's due on Monday. But you guys probably don't have that problem, so you can do Friday if you want. It makes it easier for some people, right? Just
Yes.
keep in mind that whatever day you take attendance, they have until 11:59 p.m. that day. So like if you say you're going to take Play-Doh attendance on Fridays, if you choose the weekly option, that means they have until 11:59 p.m. on Friday to get time on task.
Or if you're going to enforce them to only be able to get attendance if they come in, then you're good with just setting it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Yes, it really depends on how you want to run your Edmentum courseware first. If you're going to let them work on it at home and have them come in person, but are more like that flexibility, you can do the weekly option. So once you make that decision, this step, it informs how you do these steps.
So we just pulled up on ours the period rotation definition, and we literally have lines 1, 2, 3, and 4 for the 4 periods. We don't have the days of the week.
Like you don't even have Monday, Tuesday.
No.
Nope.
It's literally just
Mine
line
either.
on the left,
Well-
1 through 4, and then period 1 through 4, and that's absolutely it.
Click on
What
the
does this-
rotation days tab.
Yeah.
Mine's blank.
We have
Uh-huh.
nothing.
That's
would be
probably
why.
why.
Yep. And where do you set that up? I have not needed to do that. This might be one where I have to go looking for where
Well,
this
real quick,
is.
Sam, can you
Yeah.
type in days of cycle right on this screen?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
This is
so
my test score, so
type
I'm
in
just gonna-
5 and number days of cycle and then click
Yep.
save.
Then you can change it.
And then that should inform your rotation periods.
Oh, something popped up.
Yay. Some screens are easier than others.
Friday.
Thank you. That
You're
was
welcome.
helpful.
Honestly, Synergy, sometimes it's just like, it's real weird, but like once you use it enough, you're like, I bet you this is what it does. You know?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And so once you set that up, then you can do your rotation periods.
And again, this is all recorded, so you can go back to this whenever you need to, if you don't want to work through it now. If you're struggling with something, this is all available.
Okay.
So with
I'm
that,
definitely going to listen to that recording again. So
sounds good. It's gonna be a real long one, sorry.
yeah, it's okay.
Um, so with that, why don't we switch over to courseware? Which it is probably, yep, I was gonna say it logged me out. Does everyone have theirs set up where they can at least log in?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. Do you, if you go to courseware and do the drop down, do you have any programs set up at the moment?
Center 24.
It just has the Excel Center 2425
Yep,
for us.
that is a program. So these are each, that's the word that Edmentum Courseware uses, is these are programs. So I won't walk you through how to set that up right now because yours is going to be for the whole school year. So we'll come back to that when we've got more time. Once you're in there, actually, I should not use this. I should go to my test school. Once you're in here, do you have any courses set up in here?
Oh, we have a lot of courses set up.
Beautiful.
Yes, we do too.
Beautiful. Then I'm going to assume that all of this is set up more or less how you want it. We can talk about how to set it up between school years again at a later date. So let's talk about what this looks like now in Synergy.
Yes.
The way that this works is if you have, I am assuming I do not have a PE in my test school. No. PE is the only course where they do not have a like PE1 and PE2. So they don't have it set up to Indiana specific. Every single other course in here, is 1 credit.
Except for
Which helps.
PE.
Except for PE. PE, you're going to have to do the umbrella thing that I just showed you. Other
Yeah,
than that,
I hate it. Sorry.
it's okay. I understand. I guess I'll quickly go through this. If it's retired, that means that no students can be put into it. Up to you whether you want to retire it and not have students use it as soon as they are done or not. I don't have any that are retiring. It'll be red or set to expire or something like that. It turns red, and that just means that if you hover over it, it'll let you know when the last day that it will be accessible to students is. But you won't have to deal with that for at least a whole year. So back on
How
this.
important is it when you enroll students in the courses to choose the Indiana versus the regular?
If Indiana is there, use it because that is aligned to Indiana standards, whereas some of the other ones, not so much. The one that really comes into play for is your math courses. Indiana's Algebra 2 is entirely different than regular ELA, not ELA, Algebra 2. I think it's Common Core that they use for the rest of the standards for the rest of the classes. I could be wrong on that, but the Indiana ones are Indiana specific. Use them when you can.
Okay, thanks. When we were enrolling students, we weren't even sure, like, we didn't even know that some of the courses had Indiana because like English, for example, English 9 and English 10 are listed, and then there's no English 11. But if you keep going, you find Indiana English 11.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
No
So
worries.
it's just kind of a lot to.
You guys aren't going to get in trouble. I
Oh,
need to
no,
make
no.
that very clear. You guys are
Yeah.
all right. Like,
Yeah.
one, you're brand new, but also this is like, I'm not saying do whatever you want, but I am saying that like schools are allowed to determine on their own if they are willing to award this credit to a school, like once you're accredited, which you are, because you're open, right? So like Sam said, other than like the algebra classes, it's going to be generally the same information. Your students are going to be okay, right? Moving forward, make this correction, but you shouldn't worry too much.
Okay, so like, I think we put someone in geometry because we didn't realize there was an Indiana geometry also.
Yep.
So we'll just stick with it, but we'll try to do better in the future to double check if there's an Indiana course versus only the plain one.
Yes,
That's
ma'am.
really cool.
Thank you.
Of course. Also depending on what you purchased as a school / district, you may or may not have the same classes that we've got available. We set up our package so that we have access to all of the course catalog. If you wanted to look into other ones, and we're not using all of them. Like, we're not using ACT Science Reasoning version 2.0. You can choose which ones you use and which ones you don't. It's nice that way. But if you wanted to look into expanding your course catalog, what section, what classes are available for you to use, talk to your Edmentum Courseware rep. If you don't know who that is, they do have nice contacts, which I have my contact saved, so I don't remember how to get to it. But it's we're here. Worst case scenario, you go back to Edmentum.com. I don't want resources. Yeah, whatever. And then just you can say get a quote. They'll contact you and they'll figure out who you're actually supposed to be talking to. So you should be fine. I think that's it with this part. You guys had it all set up. It was just a question of how to set it up in Synergy.
Yeah.
So going back. Over managed courses. I'm going to use English 10 because English 10 has a DOE course code that's nice and easy. But if you don't know, they have, and I can send this to you guys as well. They do have this courseware alignment is what they call it, where all of the different classes that they have available are aligned to course codes. There are some where they don't say that it aligns, which isn't necessarily true. I'm not exactly sure who was put in charge of this one. Even when I talked to my reps, they're like, I don't know why they didn't just put something there as the recommended. Oh, that's the other thing. These are technically the recommended. So if you said English 10, oh, but it doesn't really cover this part of the standard, you're welcome to change it, and not change it. You're welcome to call it something else, code it something else. This is the recommended by Courseware, by Edmentum, credits that are aligned to Indiana standards. Any questions on that real quick?
Well, yes. Did you pull that up inside Edmentum, or is that a document that you have?
It's a document that I have. So Edmentum.
Could you share that with us?
Yes. Yep. I got you.
Thank you.
Yes. They send out quite a bit of information about every week, 2 weeks. A lot of it's you don't need to pay attention to because it's meant as a blast to everyone that uses Edmentum. But some of them like this is nice and important. Really good to have. As well as when they send out like the course catalogs, the actual classes that they're going to have available. We are playing with CTE courses this year, so they have a whole It's basically a brochure of all of their CTE pathways and the classes that they line to. So they do have some really good information that they send out. It's just you got to get into contact with them. But I will send you this. I got you.
Thank you.
Of course. Any other questions on this specifically before I switch to Synergy?
No.
Beautiful. So like I said, I'm going to use this English 10 semester B. I come in here, English 10. This is the Indiana, but it's still the same. English 10 is 1004. So I come back in here and I go to section. Section. The way that we have it set up, and you don't need to do it this way, but I believe Kim has already informed you guys of how or why we do it this way, not necessarily how to do it though. We have an attendance section where we just take attendance. It's not linked to any of these classes, where we just call it Play-Doh. And then test school, we do year long because again, it's attendance. It's nice and easy. There's no closing out of a grade book with this one. Test school, year long, Johnny test, and then period 7 for us. Use whichever period that you're going to use for it. I, again, just highly recommend doing a different period. Period 7, year long. Like I said, this is include in attendance and then exclude from grading. This is one of the only times that you will see this setup. Instructional method, it doesn't actually matter in this case. I still set it out of habit, but you don't need to because this doesn't get reported to the state as a section. Because it's 0 credit. I'm going to save that. On top of that, I'm going to create each individual grading section. In this case, it's, what did I say? 1008, 1004. 1004, 4, I still put 8. English 10, B, right? Yes, okay. English 10B, test school, year long, Johnny test, period 7, and then I find the correlating district course. Again, this is a single credit, so I don't need to deal with the umbrella stuff. It is just 1004 English 10B. That is it. It's the only credit. I still assign it to Johnny. Period 7, year long, exclude from attendance, including grading.
Can I jump in while you're filling out the stuff you do by habit here?
Go for it.
So in Synergy, you guys can, I might ask for clarification, make sure you're following me. Sorry if I talk too complicated, but in Synergy, sections define both how teachers take attendance and grading and store them kind of linked together, right?
Yes.
But from a state reporting perspective, attendance and course outcomes, i.e. grades, are two completely different data sets, right? So Synergy allows for you to have the option, and that's what we're taking advantage of here, to have students sending only attendance and only grades separately. And the reason we do that is because every section that has attendance only, we're not sending information about that section. So like at the end of the year, when I'm reporting on sections, like what classes we taught, I am not reporting to the state that Johnny Test had a attendance only class for period 7, right? The state doesn't need to know that, they don't care, right? But what they do want is the attendance record. Attendance is not sent linked to a section, it's sent linked to a student, right? So that attendance data is still going to send from the attendance only section. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
And now we have the separate sections with the grades because those are going to get reported. So Johnny Test, this section we're looking at right now, we are going to tell the state that Johnny Test taught a year-long period 7 English 10 class. These are the students who were enrolled in it, and these were their grade outcomes. Does that make sense?
And to top it off, it is a godsend to have it separate because I could put this as for attendance, which is great, no issue, until you have a ton of students in a ton of different classes, because then you'll have to take attendance for English 10B, English 10A, Algebra 2A, Algebra 2B. And again, you run into that issue of if they are absent in one and present in another, it only has period 7. It only has one bucket for the attendance to go in. It will have no idea what one it's supposed to take. It'll take it
Yeah.
at random.
Does that make sense?
Kind of. I understand the logistics behind tracking the attendance and the grades separately.
Mm-hmm.
But on the graded course, like
Mhm.
I understand you have to put in English 10 for them to get the English 10 credit,
Yeah.
but do you put that in as a year-long course? And like, let's say right now, term 1, I have somebody in English 10 and it's a year-long course. Am I going to just keep that section for the whole year? And then term
Yes.
3, I might have another student enroll in that same English 10 year-long courseware course.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the timing of those grades becoming final and getting posted to the transcript can be different.
Yeah.
Yes. So, and that's part of the school setup that I think Sam can help you look at sometime if you want. But the term code here for section, what it's telling Synergy. So like if you have a term 1 class, like let's say this was set to term 1, it would not allow you to enroll anybody in it with dates outside of what you have told Synergy term 1 is.
Right.
So the reason we're setting it to year means that we can enroll students in it all year long.
Or you can
Correct.
create sections for every single term for every single class that you have in courseware, but that's too much.
We used to do that and it was too much. So we just did this.
I guess,
Um,
and I just don't understand how like John finishes it on October 15th and his grade is final, but someone else doesn't even enroll in it until January. How did
I
John's
actually know where to show
grade
that.
get
Can I-
posted to the transcript?
I have school setup, grading setup open already, actually, Sam, because I was investigating it. Can I
Sure. I'll
show?
just typing up my thing and
Okay, we'll share to you.
I'll
when
show you
you're-
what I've got after.
Okay. Yeah, so when you run a grade posting process, right? There's 2 places where I can kind of show this, and I'll show the other one too. So like this is your school setup screen, and this is where you have your term begin and end dates. Notice how every single term has year in it, right? So we're basically telling Synergy. Synergy does not. Okay, let me back up one step. Has anybody gone over how grades work in Synergy, like the process of them getting posted?
No.
No? Okay.
No.
I'm going to do a very high level overview, which I'm assuming is what Sam is writing right now, like with her pictures.
Part of it.
Part of it. Very high level. I'm not going to get into the technical details, but basically at the end of every term, we open up grade buckets. And what that does is every student who is active in a class where the section is marked as grading, okay, they get a bucket opened and you get to put a grade in there. Okay. Teacher view puts the grade in there for you if it's there. If there is no grade entered, no grade gets posted once you post those grades in the buckets, right? So like if you have a student who is put in Sam's English B Plato class and they have a bucket open, but no grades put, no grades going to get posted. Right?
Mhm.
But because we want to, one of the responsibilities we want to make sure is that nobody forgets to post a grade, right? They shouldn't be put in that English 10B class until they need a grade posted, right? So that's the first step. The second step is when we are posting grades, when I go in, because this is part of my job. Where do I even do this? I forgot. There is a, let me find it. Update. Is this it? Nope. Sam, do you remember where I do this?
I'm sorry, do what? I had to run and grab my charger.
Where do I update grades from? Why am I forgetting?
You mean update grades?
No, because I'm in Elkhart. It's not here. It's not update. Yeah, but it's like posting grades.
Oh, I was gonna say, do you mean for individual students?
No, I mean like the end of term grade posting process.
Yes. So I'll walk you through what I do real quick.
I wanted to show them the screen.
Well, this
that I
is a
use.
spoon that I use.
Well, no, I'm trying to show them how year and term one are linked. What's the screen
are you
I
talking
click?
about grade setup? Or
No,
grade setup?
the place you go in where you update student transcript.
Oh, update student course history.
Thank you. I always
Sorry.
forget the name of this freaking thing. Okay. Sorry about that confusion.
No, it's okay. I think I just like processed this. So you put them in the year-long course for attendance immediately, but you don't put them in the graded portion of it until you're ready to post that grade.
Yes, because we have
Okay.
it set here when we update their course history that every year class, if there's something there, they'll post it as a term one grade. Or if there's something in year that's not already posted, they'll post it in term two. So even though the course is made as a year, it'll still read for the term. But yeah, that's why we wait until they've finished the class. He's not going to get English 10 Plato added until he finishes English 10.
Okay,
Oh.
so I have a question just to make sure that I understand, which I may not understand.
I'm gonna
So,
stop saving because I think Sam can.
okay, so right now, I know that we make separate sections, one for grading, one for attendance.
Yeah.
So are you saying that we put them in the attendance only section, and then we switch them over to the graded section after they complete their courseware?
No.
Oh
Well,
my
kind
God.
of. If that's the only class they're taking, then yeah, you would withdraw them from the attendance section and add the graded section to post their grade. Right? But like, let's say they're going to do both period, you'd keep them in the attendance as long as they're in any section in Edmentum. If they're going to take another course after that, keep them in the attendance section.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. The DOE does not require that every student attending your school have a grade. I know that seems wild. What they require is that every student scheduled in a class that has a grade possibility has a grade posted. But what they do require is that every student enrolled have attendance. So you have to make sure you are reporting attendance for every student. But you don't have to report grades unless they are enrolled in a class that has a grade potential. Does that make sense?
Not totally, but I think we're okay.
Okay.
Maybe.
It might make sense in practice, but we can also get back there at one point. Sam's got the creation part too, though.
So with this, my example here is I'm just going to put the term ending in the middle of this state range just to make it nice and easy to understand why. Well, attempt to make it nice and easy to understand why. This does not care about term ends and dates because it's just attendance. The only thing that it does care about is if it's year long, then it has availability for the whole year. Nothing needs to end, nothing needs to be turned over. Whereas the grade, you have to post a grade at the end of a term or the end of a bridge, even for the year long. Year longs, let me change colors here. Year longs have, as Kim was showing a little bit of, they have term 1, term 2, 3, 4, 5. If you're doing summer, a summer, they have all of these terms available to have a grade posted. Whereas this, it doesn't matter. It's just 9-1. They have this state or this attendance. Sorry, I am writing very slow because I am terrible with trying to do this all with the mouse. And then it'll go all the way up until 9:30. And it just has a bucket for each day. Bucket is the word that we use, but it just means that there's a spot available for whatever it is that we're talking about. In this case, it's a bucket for attendance, right? Whereas on this side, this is a bucket for a grade. This will not be there because I have the start and end date only in term 2. So there will be a bucket open in term 2, but not in any of these other ones because of that start and end date. That's what that is telling you. Whereas if I put it as 9-1, there's now going to be a bucket open for term 1 and a bucket open for term 2. Does that make sense? Buckets are a fun one to have to explain.
Yes,
Kind
but
of.
why would you want a bucket open for 2 terms?
You
Thank
don't.
you.
Only one, you don't. It's
That's
only
why
going to
we
be
did this
open
way.
for term 2 because he wasn't enrolled before term 1 ended.
Gotcha.
In
Okay.
the grading section.
Yeah, so it'll only open for term 2 in the
Whereas
grading
if,
section.
Push the button.
Yeah,
yes,
it allows
that's
you
what
to
happened.
be, it allows you to be more free with where you put that section, like what term you want the grade posted in, right? Whereas if you combined the 2 sections, you would have to post a grade every single time they were enrolled in that section, and you ran a grade posting process. So if you combined them, and we used to do it this way.
We did, and it was terrible.
Yeah, if you combined them into one section, you would have to put an incomplete or a letter grade, like a final grade for every single student enrolled in an Edmentum class every time it showed up.
So if
So-
this had a grade,
Yeah.
this
And
would now
so-
with these dates have to this one open and this one open.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to show here.
Because if a section is excluded from grading, that means enrollment in that section will not open up a grade bucket when you get to grading. Grade posting.
Correct.
So like marking a section as excluded from grading means there isn't a grade book in TView.
Correct.
Mhm.
So you will see English 9B with Jane Doe in it in the grade book, but you won't see attendance for her with this section. Whereas on this set one, you'll see the attendance side will say Plato, and you won't see English 9B at all on the attendance side. And I can show you what that looks like in teacher view if we are needing that.
If you do that though, I would go to the current year because it's simpler because it's just me.
Oh, well, we're recording, so I'd still use the test school.
Oh, well, fine then.
Well, I know that it's just being shared between us, but it is still technically, student information.
Fair. Student information.
That's the big one.
Is
Why I
that
have a test school.
Is it good for everybody? I'm sorry. We sound complicated. I just want to make sure we're not losing you guys completely.
It's nice to hear terms that we're going to be familiar with very soon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And we really try to use the correct terms when we're talking so that you get used to the correct term regardless of what it is that we're talking about.
Certainly.
We try. Yes, because grade posting is a whole different beast.
Yeah, we'll
Um,
worry about that in like 4 weeks.
Yes. Yeah, because
Are we
neither of
ready
you are
for-
running bridges, right?
Hmm?
Yes.
Yeah, no bridges for you. Gina, are you guys doing bridges this term?
Well, that's kind of to be determined.
Okay, fair. Although you guys just started, so you wouldn't be at a bridge
We
anyway,
did.
so.
We're on week 2 right now, and I think we might do a bridge course at 4 weeks, but we just kind of talked about that this morning for the first time.
Oh,
Michelle,
yeah.
did you guys do any bridges, Michelle?
We
Yeah.
are. Yes.
What did you offer as a bridge class?
We are offering financial literacy.
Okay.
That's a pretty common one, yeah.
Yeah.
It used to be called financial
first year
foundations,
class?
I think.
Yeah. Well, yeah. We're calling it financial literacy or financial foundations.
Yeah.
Are you using all 4 credits for financial foundations, or are you just using a singular credit?
I thought it was an elective, so it's only a singular credit.
Okay. So no, it's not the same as financial foundation.
Yeah, that was like
Okay.
a 4-credit bridge course.
Oh, well, I'm
From,
going
like-
to have to clarify then.
It's all good.
I
I
mean,
guess
that
that's
was like
kind of a
also,
question too, because I thought that was tied to the economics.
Yeah, so.
yeah,
let me
financial
pull that.
foundations used to have like an econ credit, a business math
Still has-
credit.
Hold on. It has 2 business math, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. At least I was somewhat on the ball, ma'am. Yeah.
So this is financial foundations. This is based off of Indy's curriculum. We used to have it as a bridge class, but that was it's a bit much, right? You're trying to fit in all of these standards in a 4-week span. That is a one class of standard per week, which is insane. When a one class is in theory a 18-week class in a normal
Mhm.
school. Condensing that down into one is insane. Because condensing it down into, if you're splitting it up into an 8-week, it's still 2 weeks, which is ridiculous, but that's my personal opinion on it. It's a lot. It's a lot to do in 4 weeks. It's kind of manageable in 8 weeks. But it gets econ, principles, personal financial responsibility, and then 2 business math credits. Our schools have decided to start breaking this up a bit. We have some schools that are just doing econ as a bridge with nothing else attached to it. And that seems to be working pretty well. Again, that's going to just depend on how your school wants to do it. You're welcome to move away from the model. It just will change how much context you need to give to get the support that you need. That is it.
So
We
I
do
guess
a lot-
I didn't know we had that option to separate them out and offer just one. Because like we have a lot of students who need the 4 credits because they need the directed
Yep.
electives. And that's great. But we also have people that only need the econ
Correct.
and we're super close, but we're putting them in econ or in financial foundations with all 4 credits because that's the only
Yep.
thing we have to offer.
Yeah, we used to have that problem too. We've moved into a thing where, in general, we keep really close to the course catalog. But we have, Sam mainly did the legwork on this one because she's excellent, but we kind of determined as a central office team, including our directors, right? As a network, that we are really okay with schools wanting to teach a 4-week 1-course bridge course. And it can be whatever they want, as long as the director and the teacher and the lead teacher have all decided, like, we feel confident that this is worth that credit, we're going to teach it to a high standard. You know what I mean? You are allowed to do that.
And we have our superintendent that gives the final say. I just
Yeah.
need to have the information.
Yeah, so we have a school right now that did 2 4-week bridges. Teacher did. Her first one was econ and her second one was speech. We have an English teacher in our South Bend campus who really likes teaching like fun little ELA classes. So he did like poetry for 4 weeks, right? A really good bridge option for you guys to look into too, if you want, Indiana Studies, especially because it is required to be taught at least once every school year by the state of Indiana.
Yep. And that's all here too.
Uh-huh.
Can you repeat what you just said about it must be taught?
There
Oh,
are 3 courses that DOE requires has to be offered at least once per school year per school.
Offered.
Offered is the word. Offered is the
Michelle, did
important
you know
word.
that?
Sorry.
No, I did
Michelle,
not.
you heard of that?
No,
they
this is the
forget to
first
remind
time I hear.
everybody until like March of every year. So don't worry about
That's
it.
perfect. I feel like we're so up
What
on the
are
knowledge.
What are the 3 classes?
Uh-huh.
So Indiana Studies is one of them. Then you have
And Indiana
that
Studies
ethnic?
is a bridge.
yes, we
Our
have
version.
Indiana Studies as a bridge. Ethnic Studies, which DOE built into ELA 4. We do have some talk in our schools about making this a bridge by itself because it feels like it's kind of like haphazardly put into ELA 4 and it's not really being touched. So the teachers who do work with curriculum have been talking about making that change. It hasn't been done yet, but it's a thing that they were thinking about. The last one gets a little bit more convoluted. DOE requires schools to offer an approved computer science course at least once per school year, which is a whole list of things. This is actually changing in 2 years, 1 year, whenever they do the new diploma, because this introduction to computer science is actually going to be a need to have to graduate.
So it's going to be part of the core 40.
Correct.
Yeah.
But that's a whole different thing that we could talk about later. I don't really want to get into it. It's
No.
it's not fun.
No.
Just
Okay, so
for now,
I
you need to know that you have to have one of these offered.
So one of them must be offered.
Yes.
Yeah. So basically you have to have the section created with the teacher attached to it, and that has to be reported. You don't have to put students in it, although it would probably be better if you tried, you know?
Well, yeah.
But technically the only thing they're looking for is that you're reporting that the teacher offered this class.
so
Okay.
if no students enrolled in it, what does that teacher actually?
Oh,
Well,
you
that's
actually
why we
do.
say that's why we say you should probably work on enrolling students in it, because then you have a whole class that a teacher's not doing anything.
Well, you did
Right.
say that ethnic studies is part of English, correct?
Yeah,
ELA
ethnic
4.
studies you guys are covered if you teach ELA 4 at least once.
Indiana studies, is that part of social studies?
No, it's a general elective. It's not even a direct
General
elective.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. I put it into social studies because it's kind of related, but the actual credits are general electives. But yes.
Okay.
We, when I say we in this instance, I mean South Bend, which is the school I worked at before I was higher up. But we always offered Indiana Studies as a 4-week bridge, typically around enrollment times, because again, bridges
It's
are really
easy.
good for enrollment. So we would just put students into it, you know?
Other things to keep in mind, the wording is offered. So you don't necessarily need to waste a teacher on a class period and not have anybody in it. The workaround, and it's a little sketchy, but it's fine, is you can have especially with the computer science, a lot of our students are not going to be at that level, at least not to start with. The way to get around it is you have your lead teacher. They're supposed to have, in theory, only 2 class periods so that they have 2 class periods to do their lead teacher stuff. Have one of their open periods be that computer science class. You're not wasting it. You're not making it so that a teacher has to teach something that they're not comfortable with teaching. It's just offering it. Of
Play-Doh
course,
also works.
yeah, and yes, courseware works if there's an equivalent for it, which computer science, there are equivalents for it.
Yeah.
You could even have a computer science that's running at the same time as your ELA 1. There's nothing technically wrong with that. You just wouldn't have any students in the computer science.
So you also have until term 5 schedules are made next year to
Yeah.
worry about
Yes.
this.
You have plenty of time.
Yeah.
Only once per school year.
Yeah, you don't have to offer it every term. So you
No.
guys have some time to think about it.
Any questions on that one?
No, no questions.
Cool.
Beautiful.
Can you share that document that's on the screen with
Yeah,
us?
yeah, I can share a course catalog.
I already have it.
I was gonna say, it's not entirely complete, but it should work perfectly fine for what you guys need it for. I need to go and change these prerequisites because we are not going to use ExactPath anymore. We switched to iExcel. These are the prerequisites that were specifically for ExactPath, so it's slightly different now.
Okay, thank you for saying that. Can you
Yeah.
tell me what schools are moving to iExcel and getting rid of ExactPath?
Just
It's
us,
our
I
district,
believe.
Yeah.
Like all of Michiana?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
We-
a dream.
Yeah, well, we found ExactPath really cumbersome.
We were
And
using it for the placement test, which irks my soul that we paid
Yeah.
for it. And
we were
only
paying
used
a
it
lot
for
of
a single
money.
test.
Yeah, we were paying a lot of money for it. And also we had a lot of staff feedback that was like, we found staff who struggled with using it and our students hated how long the tests were,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, I've
And-
only been here since June 3rd, and I've only heard teachers from multiple schools
Yeah.
say they didn't like it. And if
Mhm.
we could not have to use it, that would be great. But
Yeah,
and
so
they would all prefer to use iExcel.
yeah, but and that's why we moved to it. I
That
think it
happens.
was Sam and the teachers she worked with in Elkhart that sort of brought it up first.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
yeah.
So if you guys make the change, Sam will have a course catalog with iExcel grades for you at some
Yes.
point.
That would be amazing. And we did purchase iExcel. So like,
Oh, you've
We-
purchased both?
yeah.
Interesting.
Well, dang.
And I mean, we're not the only ones because I know when I was in Indy for my very first training, schools, I know Muncie said they use iExcel and somebody else, but I don't remember where they were from.
Yeah,
Why
we were
did I
using
think
it
that
solely as a
happened?
teaching option, I think, right, Sam?
Yeah. But
In
has
two
the
other schools,
diagnostic.
yes.
I'm sorry?
It has the diagnostic. I mean, our teachers
Yeah.
are using it, in the classroom, but also they want to use some of the diagnostic components of it.
Yes.
Yes.
So, all
It
right.
is
Thank you.
great.
Sorry, I didn't mean to take you
Does all
down
of it.
a side path.
All good.
But yeah, there's no requirement from GEI or DOE what testing software you use. So we just got rid of ExactPath. We decided not to renew that contract last year. So
Yep.
I'm so
I-
pleased.
Looked into lots of different options. It's why we now have Canvas and iExcel because we were looking for something more that we could still do on our budget. And do the most with said budget. So we strayed a bit on the technology side of things, but that's okay. That's kind of how it works. You figure out what your school needs and to fit with your
Right.
budget, your students, and their capabilities, right? Your staff.
So just to confirm, you are still using courseware though for your
For the online course portion.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have made no hard switch yet, although I would love it if we used Canvas instead, but
Well, that's the idea. We just need to get it
Yeah.
up and running, which is what we're doing this year. So
yeah,
we
it's
can-
not Firmed.
fill you
though,
in on
but
how that
yeah.
works.
Okay.
We still
That's
do
cool.
get the Edmentum course catalog though.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because unfortunately at the moment there isn't really a good switch on that one. Well, there isn't a good switch that isn't either cumbersome to undertake or of quality.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do the slightly cumbersome one and switch to Canvas. It might not be a full switch, but that would be the ideal format of it. Because even the Indiana Algebra 2 on courseware isn't matching what we're going to teach in class, right? We don't have time to go through all of that.
Yeah, exactly.
So it aligns things a little bit better when we can make our own classes.
Right.
But
Well,
that's
we
a
have
totally side note.
to sign off. You've had a lot of really, really good information. I just have one quick question, and this is just, I don't know, kind of in general, we've talked about today, and I just wanted some feedback from Michelle, or if you guys have feedback too. But if someone comes in on a Friday to get extra help from their teacher, or they come in on a Friday for whatever purpose, do you award them attendance for that day if they come in on a Friday?
We
I can
don't.
speak on that though if you want to, because we don't, but I can give you some guidelines and you guys can
Yep.
decide if you want to do it. So
Okay.
you can, right? The definition of attendance is it has to be taken day of unless it's like a weekly attendance thing, right? But what you could do if you wanted is you could have every teacher have like, again, you'd have to make a new period, right? Like a new class period in your bell schedule,
Yeah.
right? But like you could make a Friday only attendance day if you wanted, right? And you could have that be something like a flex Friday option where like if the student comes in to make up work or something, they get scheduled and marked positive in that class.
Yeah.
Right?
That's what we're leaning on, or I didn't know what, since we're not we are a district, but we are a lone school district. We're just kind of like
Yes.
going off of recommendations from
Mm-hmm.
experts like you.
Yeah.
It's kind of what you've seen practice wise for something
Yeah.
like that. And we think it would be, we kind of like the idea of
Yes.
awarding a positive if they came in on a Friday because
Yeah.
they missed on Tuesday. So
Yeah. So I like the idea. You can totally do it. It will need you will need to make your own. You'll need to make another period definition because
right.
I don't know how GEI does it, but I know that the state informed me that attendance needs to be taken on the day they show up. So you can't like go back and change an absence to a positive earlier in the week, right? So what my recommendation would be if you decide to do it, make a new bell schedule, period rotation where you have like a period 5 or whatever that's Friday only.
Yeah.
And then you'll have to create a section that is attendance only, right? Just like our Plato section.
Yeah.
And you would make one of those for the year for each teacher. And then when that student comes in, it would have to be communicated to the life coach or somebody, and they could schedule them and enter the attendance and then withdraw them from the class.
This teacher can't create,
Okay.
add students to section.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
with every good idea comes a hurdle.
Yeah. So
Yes.
it's definitely something you would do. It's actually something I would like us to start doing someday, but it again would require you'd want to come up with like the procedure so that everybody makes sure you're counting everybody first,
Right. Okay.
But you really could probably do it not super difficult. Like just off the top of my head, if every teacher had a roster and everybody who came in signed in
Right.
on that Friday, you could just give the rosters to the coaches and let them schedule and enter attendance as needed, and then they could move on. Because you
Okay.
can backdate stuff easy.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was, other than
you know, that was just a general question we had talked about today that, I wanted to see if you had any suggestions or thoughts or whatever on, so.
Yeah, it would
But-
definitely help
Yes,
attendance rate. So
And
Takes a lot of logistical thought.
yeah.
I know for us, I mean, I feel like we take so much of your time anyway, but if we run into, getting to the point where we are adding these umbrella courses and we need to hop on a call with you and share our screen just individually to make sure that, you know, if we feel like we have questions or we run into a hurdle, like maybe we could schedule with Sam or somebody just to basically watch us do it once for the first time if we think we need it. Could we schedule something, you know, later on, you know, in the week or by next week?
Oh yeah. The only reason I've been not ignoring emails, but kind of ignoring emails is just because I was sick. So I'm playing catch up, and
Yeah.
it's taken all of my time. So
I know. Well, when you're gone
Other
and
than
you come
that.
back, there's so much to do, and that's fine. And you know, we've come this far. We could wait a little bit longer. And you know, I think collectively, that's why the three of us are in here, because it literally takes three brains sometimes to do some of this stuff.
Oh, we
So
understand.
so maybe the three of us will be able to figure it out. But if not, is it okay? If Sam, would you be the one that we reached out to kind of just walk us through doing it for the first time?
With this kind of stuff with setup, yes. Almost
Okay.
every single time. There's a few
Almost
things where
every
I won't know, but I'll just say, hey, Kim.
Okay.
If
Okay,
it's an
okay.
emergency too, though.
Yes, yeah, if it's emergency,
yeah.
Kim knows a lot of it. It might take her a minute to remember, but she knows a lot of it.
Yeah.
Right.
Same
Okay.
with Sam and my stuff, but Sam's gonna be the one you want to schedule advanced meetings with when it comes
Okay.
to this stuff.
Okay. Well, I hope that, and I appreciate your guys' time today. I
Oh
know
my
it's
gosh.
been 2 hours and 20 minutes, and I
Yes,
appreciate
thank you.
Michelle, I just want to say that I hope you are getting along well, and let's keep